Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have been feeling a little tired, a little burnt out the last few days, and a little bit overwhelmed at times with all the stuff that I'm trying to get done. What's funny is my good friend Cam, we just had a conversation, and he was like, "Buddy, did you forget that you're literally going through a breakup right now? It only happened like a month ago." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe that's why I'm feeling a little bit burnt out, why I'm not getting as much done." So, with that in mind, we're going to have a fairly chill episode today. I'm wearing my pajamas. I haven't put any nice clothes on. I haven't shaved. Fancy lights are not on. And we're going to go through some of your questions, some of the emails that I get from some of you, give you all a little bit of coaching, a little bit of love. And we are all together just going to have a bit of a chill episode today because that's the mood that I am in. All right, so I got this email from one of my old coaching clients actually, and he said, "Hey, Andy, I wanted to write you a thank you email for your Play to Win video course, which there's a link in the description below to that. The coaching group, like I said, he did coaching, and your video on making $600 in a day." Yeah, so I did a video on how you can make $600 in a day. This is kind of something that I give a lot of the coaching clients when they come and they want to start a business. We actually have two people in the group right now who've come in the last week to coaching to literally learn how to start a business. The very first thing I say to people, if they have no idea how to make money, is I say, go outside, walk out that door, and go approach people. Cold approach people and say, "Can I please have $1?" And you might be like, how is that starting a business? Because that shows you that there is abundant money out there. You just have never asked for it. And you can literally walk up to a stranger with nothing of value to offer them other than, I guess, altruism and them feeling good and your gratitude, and they will give you money. And so if you can get money for doing nothing for people, you can get money for doing something for people. And so that's like, it kind of unlocks your brain a little bit. So that's part of what I tell all the clients and what I will suggest to all of you. So it goes on to say, "I've been building my home services business in Ravi's group," and Ravi is one of my good friends, and he was one of my early coaching clients too. I coached him for about 2 years, and now he's built his own business coaching people. So how fucking cool is that? And so he's hit 60 customers, and he just brought this van to take things to the next level. You can see the picture of it down the bottom. I wouldn't have gotten started knocking on doors, cold approaching, like I said, building and learning about the business without you and Ravi, because I wouldn't have believed it is possible. Yeah, all of you are capable of making as much money as you would like. You might have to do something to make that happen." That's the part that our brain doesn't like to hear. "Oh shit, I have to take action? Are you serious? I thought that I could just have a sex life or have a business life without doing anything." It's like, no, you might have to go and cold approach some people, knock on some doors, talk to some women, whatever. But he says he wouldn't have believed it was possible, but it is all possible. And once I allowed myself to realize this, things have really started moving. Thanks again, smiley face. Look at that cool van. Look at that sick fucking van. How cool is that? So appreciate you, my friend. He'll probably watch this video. Hello, I appreciate you. You are a joy to coach, by the way. You are like really, really, really fun to coach. All right, these next two comments are pretty similar, so I guess we will answer them both at the same time. So the first one, "I have done 600 approaches." So he's talking about hitting on women outside, "and I still have a lot of nervous energy, and I'm still afraid to approach. I feel like I'm just re-traumatizing myself rather than just doing exposure therapy on this. What can I do to shift things, or do I just approach more?" So the first thing I would say is yes, approach more. That's beautiful. But I would change the mindset a little bit. So I would grab a copy of this, my friend. It is my Play to Win video course. There is a link in the description below to this. Grab a copy of this, and there's a few chapters that will really help your mindset. So this is the first chapter that I want you to read or watch when you grab the course. It's called Play to Win instead of playing not to lose. And the point of this is you are focusing, if we reread your comment, you're saying, "I'm re-traumatizing yourself." You're focusing on losing. You're focusing on the negative. Let's focus a little bit more on the positive. With every woman that you approach, you are probably getting a little bit of practice. Obviously, that's such an obvious thing, but you are probably working on your stoicism. Like when you first went out to do your first approach, you were probably shitting your pants. Now you've done 600. You are clearly better at something. So focus on the victories. Focus on what has improved. With every single person that you approach, rather than telling a story, and here's another chapter from the video course, there we go. This chapter right here, it's called "Everything is a Story, and you're in control of the stories that you tell." You are telling a story right now that you're re-traumatizing yourself. Do you think that that story is serving you? I know you feel like it's true. No, Andy, I feel like I am going through trauma. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying you're not nervous, but you're telling a story that the nervousness is bad. You're telling a story that I'm traumatized with every woman. Let's tell a more positive story. I'm working on my stoicism. With each woman that you hit on, if she's not available or you don't feel like it goes well, you can say, hey, I'm grateful that she at least talked to me. I'm grateful that I'm courageous enough to do this. Like, come up with 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for with each person that you hit on. And we're basically going to rewrite this story and turn it from one of trauma to one of empowerment. I am becoming more stoic. Oh my God, I've done 600 approaches. I wonder if I can get to 1,000. Like, switch up the stories that you tell yourself in your own head, and this will be a lot more fun. In other words, it doesn't have to be traumatizing. I'm not saying that you don't feel the emotions that you're feeling. I'm not telling you to ignore them, but you are telling a story right now that this is hard or difficult or traumatizing or awful, and that story just makes it a lot harder for you. This chapter in the video course will probably also help you, my friend. Everything that happens to me is good. And so right now, you have an implied statement that you probably don't realize you've done. You're saying that traumatizing myself is bad. And most of the world would agree with that story, and they'd be like, yeah, re-traumatizing yourself with every approach, that's bad. Can you think of any reason that it might be a good thing? And I know that might sound like an insane statement for me to make, but why could you feeling some nervousness, and again, let's tell a more accurate story. You're not re-traumatizing yourself. You're feeling some strong emotions. Let's get a little bit more accurate with the things that we're saying in the stories that we tell. Because if you go around saying, I'm re-traumatizing yourself, you will literally traumatize yourself. The statement, I am traumatizing myself, is quite traumatizing in itself, isn't it? It doesn't feel good to say, holy shit, I'm traumatizing myself. So let's bring the language back down to earth and be a little bit more rational. And I'm not saying that you're irrational, but let's tone down the drama a little bit, okay? Like, let's be a little bit more realistic and back down to earth and say, okay, I have a lot of nervous energy. I feel some strong emotions. Let's label those emotions. Like, let's actually dig deep and see what the emotions are. Are you feeling nervousness? That's okay. I feel nervous all the time. Are you feeling like a loser when you talk to someone and she's not interested? That's okay. Lots of people feel like losers. Like, all of this is okay. And the thing that you're calling trauma, we're basically going to go in there and sit in that and say, is this okay? Like, I don't have to label this as a bad thing. These emotions that I'm feeling, I don't have to label them as trauma and say, these are bad, it's awful, oh my God, I hate this. It's like, I'm just a human being who's really nervous when he talks to women, like most people, and that's okay. I'm a human being who sometimes afterwards feels like a bit of a loser, or feels upset, or feels grief, or feels sadness, and that's okay too. I don't have to say it's an awful big bad thing of I'm traumatizing myself. This is so terrible. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. It's like I'm feeling some strong emotions and that's okay. And this is a very, like, I can't really help you much with this over a YouTube comment. You know what I mean? Because I can't talk to you. Like, this would be so much easier if we were talking to each other because I could say, okay, you're saying that it's traumatizing. I get that. Tell me what specifically you're feeling in the moment. What are you thinking? And then you and I could like work through these things. And I could say, okay, in the moment, you're having this feeling and this thought of like, I'm a loser and I'm never going to get better at this. Let's examine that. You're never going to get better at this. Is that true? Have you improved a little bit over the last 600 approaches or women that you've talked to? Probably. Okay, so you are improving a little bit. It's just slower than you would like. Okay, let's examine that. How long do you think that it should take for you to become this like super smooth Casanova or whatever you have in your head? You think it will take a year. I should have already been able to do it by now. But have you done it by now? No. Okay, then you're arguing with reality. Like, I could actually help you properly. And so if that's something you want, you're very welcome to hit me up for coaching. So I have the big coaching program that you guys all know about, but we're in the process of setting up a smaller coaching program. Why don't you join that, my friend? We're doing a massive discount at the start. It'll be $50 a month at the start. It's eventually going to become $200 a month, but for the first couple of months, we're going to leave it at $50 a month while we get people in there and build things and all of that. So if that's something you're interested in, man, shoot me an email. This would be a lot easier for you if you had a lot of other people around you. I can already kind of tell that you're doing this by yourself because people who talk to women either with friends or like they have some sort of coaching group or a forum or something like that, they don't really talk like this. Like you're traumatizing yourself because you're trying to do this alone. And so, yeah, man, just like shoot me an email, andy@killyourinnerloser.com. Shoot me an email, man, and I will link you up to the coaching program. Like I said, it's going to be $50 a month for the first couple of months, and then $200 after that. And you can just, cancel and leave when we put the price up if you want to. But yeah, I can't really help you a lot in a YouTube comment, man, just because like you and I can't talk. Like I can't ask you how you feel. And if you were my actual coaching client, this would be one of the times where I'd say like, hey, tell me what you're feeling. Like, let's talk through it. It's okay that you're feeling all these emotions. It's okay that you're upset. It's okay that you feel everything. Tell me what you're feeling and we can like talk through it. I can't really help you if I'm guessing what you might be feeling. And then the second comment here, I find it very easy to talk to women unless I find her attractive. So the answer there, my friend, is two separate things. So first of all, just go talk to more attractive women and then you'll get exposure therapy. And then the second thing is to realize that attractive women are not different. It's not like she's a different person. Your brain thinks that she is because you feel like you have something to lose or you're worried that you will look like an idiot or any of that. But if you just spend enough time with some attractive women, like I would recommend you just make some friends or go cold approach attractive women on the street and literally just be like, yo, can we be friends? And like, don't try and sleep with them. Like in your mind, literally say, I'm not going to sleep with her. I have no intention of trying to sleep with her, but I would like to be friends with some attractive women. Or go to a bar and just go up to the most attractive women that you can find and be very vulnerable. And yes, you're probably going to be scared to do this, but just say like, do you guys mind if I hang out with you? I'm trying to make more female friends. I don't really have a lot of female friends. And like, I don't know. I don't really know how to talk to women. Like, can I be your friend? And I promise I'm not interested in anything sexual. And like, literally make that a boundary in your head and say, I'm not going to try and sleep with them. But just say, like, would you be my friend? And I think when you talk to more women, by the way, a lot of them will say yes to that because, like, that's fucking vulnerable of you to ask. And most people will be pretty nice when you're that vulnerable. But you make some friends with some women and you'll realize, like, wait, these are just people. Like, yeah, no shit. Any attractive women listening right now are like, yeah, no fucking shit. They bleed like the rest of us. They take a shit like the rest of us. They have a million insecurities, sometimes more than people who aren't as attractive. They have more physical insecurities. Like, go make friends or just go talk to some more attractive people. And you realize, like, man, I was making a lot of assumptions. I was judging them in a lot of ways, and not in a negative judging way, but almost like the opposite. You were putting them on a pedestal, assuming that they're perfect and they don't take a big fat shit in the morning and like all of that kind of stuff. They're just human beings like you, man. They just happen to look pretty, or your brain tells you that they look pretty. And so go talk to some of them, man, and you'll realize that they're not that special. And not that they're not special. Everyone on the planet is a beautiful, special, unique snowflake and blah, 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 blah. But they're not any better than you just because they're attractive, man. All right, so this next one is very, very, very vulnerable. I really appreciate how open and honest you were in this one. I would love to see a video topic about shame and how it holds you back with permission to achieve the things you want, like making friends, feeling accepted, etc. I have a lot of core shame from trauma abuse as a child, and I can see it holding me back, I guess, from the person I want to be. Not even that, it encourages me to do things like BDSM masochism, which makes it worse. Yeah, it can. I've done lots of videos about BDSM, and I did one in particular about how to know if BDSM or any relationship is adding to your life and how to be gentle with yourself when you're someone who seeks BDSM out for trauma, because there are a lot of people like that. I've met some partners who literally come to me wanting me to basically continue their trauma, and that is not how I like to do my BDSM. And I've like essentially coached a few women on like how to build their self-esteem and not seek out abuse through BDSM. So yeah, therapy doesn't seem to improve after years. My shame is still the same from 17 to 23. Any thoughts? Yeah, lots of thoughts. So I've done a lot of videos on guilt and shame, and in general, like a lot of the time I will tell you guys to look up a video, but then if you just type it into the search bar, at the top here, if you just type in the search bar, I don't know, man, YouTube's search is not good. Like it just won't show you the videos. So what you might have to do, any of you, whenever I tell you to search for a video, go onto my channel. Like literally go onto my actual channel, click the little search button here. Like, don't use the search bar at the top of the page because it doesn't fucking show videos, man. Like, it just doesn't. So click this search bar and then just type in like shame or guilt. I've done quite a few videos on this. So this one here, religion, guilt, shame, fear. I know this is more about religion, but it's the same thing. Shame is always the same. So this is like a full-on video about shame. This one here is about shame and guilt. This one here is guilt ruining your life, and guilt and shame are basically the same thing. I know why you beat yourself up. That one's useful. Sexual shame and guilt. That one's there. This one touches on shame a little bit. This one is about guilt. This one here is about shame. And I know these look like specific topics that might not apply to you, but shame and guilt, like I said, they're exactly the same. And so any of those ones about shame or guilt, just search my channel for the word shame or guilt, and they should help a little bit. So yeah, this is a topic I've covered a lot. And I guess I'll talk a little bit more because you've been so vulnerable and you're one of the OGs of the channel, or you've been here for a while. So first of all, like I said, I already said this, but like, good job opening up about this. This is like really beautiful. And I know there's a lot of shame around feeling shame, right? Like we feel ashamed of who we are, and then we feel even more shame when we go to share it. And so shame is very perpetuating. Part of how you process this is by bringing this out into the light. Therapy can be very useful. I know nothing about your therapist or anything like that, but therapy is one of those things where some therapists help and some don't. Like, therapists are just people, and in any job or any industry, some people just, I don't know, they're maybe not great at their job. And so if you've been going to the same therapist for years, then I would switch. Like, I would fucking switch. If you've been going to multiple therapists and none of them are clicking, then that might suggest with you, maybe you could work on being more open. Like, if you've gone to, let's say, 10 therapists and none of them, like, you don't feel like you've helped, any of them have helped, I would suggest switching something up in your mind. Like, maybe you haven't been as vulnerable with them. Maybe you have been saying that nothing has improved. Like, a lot of the time we're just not accurate. Like you said here in your last sentence, therapy doesn't seem to improve after years. My shame is still the same. Is that true? Like, I would question that, my friend. You have just opened up in a very public place to me and strangers on the internet about your shame. Were you able to do that when you were 17? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, fuck no. So to say my shame is exactly the same and hasn't improved, that is like literally not true. And so you could do something very kind for yourself here and maybe write a list of like 15 ways that my shame has improved, or 15 ways my self-esteem has improved, 15 ways that I have made progress. And your brain will probably be like, no, nothing's different. It's like, that's just like fundamentally not true. And so the story that you're telling here is probably just not an accurate story. Like I talked about in the Play to Win video course, like, you're in control of the story that you tell, and everything is a story. And so you can tell the story that my shame has not improved over the last 6 years. And you'll probably have a lot of evidence for that. You can probably throw a lot of evidence at me and be like, look, here's all the evidence. See, look, Andy, nothing's improved. But if we're intellectually honest and we play devil's advocate and say, well, okay, what if we make the opposite argument? Give me 10 reasons why your shame has improved, or 10 ways your shame has improved. You can probably give me 10. You can probably give me 100. Which one of those two stories is true? My shame hasn't improved, or my shame has improved? Both of them are true, or they're both false. They're just stories. We're just making up stories. Our brain will make up a story and then find all the evidence that it can to make that true. And so you could absolutely give me so much evidence that you haven't improved anything, but I could give you lots of evidence, or I could get you to find evidence that you have improved. And I bet if I spoke to your therapist, well, I don't know, but if I spoke to your therapist, I wonder if they would say like, no, what's he talking about? Or she, I think you're a he, doesn't matter. This person has improved a lot. Why are they saying they haven't improved? We've made massive strides. Did they tell you that they haven't improved? Wow, holy shit. Okay, we're going to talk about that next session. Why don't you ask your therapist? Hey, I feel like I haven't improved anything. I feel like my shame is still the same. Do you think I've improved? A lot of the time, we're just not very accurate at measuring our own progress. Like, I'm not either. Like, I could sit here and tell all of you that I don't feel like I'm a good coach sometimes. And you'd be like, bro, what the fuck? You've changed like hundreds of people's lives. These like 3 of your coaching clients are now your business partners. That's how much they love you. And one of them, Ravi, went off and made his own fucking business coaching other people. And he's not the only one. There's like multiple. I just read out at the start of this call, someone else who started a business, blah, 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 right? But I still sometimes feel like yeah, I'm an okay coach. I'm doing an okay job. Or these videos, I'll be like, yeah, these videos are okay. Maybe they help people. Like, we're just not that accurate at measuring our own progress or our own abilities or any of that. And that's not a bad thing. It just means we have high standards for ourselves. And so you probably do too. You're probably looking at this like, I have to get rid of all the shame and guilt. Otherwise, therapy isn't working. And it's like, bro, it's not all or nothing. It's not binary. You're not just going to immediately get rid of all shame. Like maybe you're always going to have some core shame from trauma abuse as a child, and that's okay. I know you don't want to hear that. You're going to therapy thinking that you need to be fixed, but do you know what I say to all of my coaching clients, like who are going through stuff like this, when they first come to me? I say, you're not broken. You don't need fixing. Everything's okay. And just hearing that is like a huge weight off your shoulders because you're not like, holy shit, I'm broken, which is probably how you see yourself. You know, the trauma is holding me back from the person I want to be. No, it's not. The trauma is a shield that you use to stop yourself or save yourself from having to change something. That might sound like an insane statement, but trauma and shame and guilt and fear and anger, they're a bubble that we kind of wrap ourselves up in, or we wrap around ourselves, because change can be scary. Letting go of identity can be scary. And you probably have an identity here of like, I am a trauma abuse victim. I was traumatized as a child and I am a victim. And labels are incredibly protective. You have a very protective helplessness. And that's not me saying that. That's one of my favorite people, Dr. K. And if you watch this video up here, it's just called Talking with an Incel About Starting a Relationship on Dr. K or Healthy Gamer GG's channel. And in here, he basically says the same to this guy. He says, like, you have a very protective helplessness. Your helplessness is stopping you from going out there and talking to women, or in your case, you know, whatever goal you might have. And it's very easy to wrap ourselves up in a label of like victim or abuse victim or any of that. And like, yes, this thing did happen to you. Of course it did. Like, yeah, you went through that. But we wrap ourselves up in that and we say, this is the reason why I'm not changing. So I really recommend you watch this video. He explains it a lot better than I am right now. Like I'm saying this in a clumsy way because, like I said, I'm tired. I'm a bit stressed. I'm, you know, not in the best mood right now. But yeah, like it's not the shame that's stopping you from being the person that you want to be. It's your attachment to the shame. Like this is just a very basic tenet of like Buddhism and fucking psychology, and your therapist will probably tell you this. They'll say like, yes, you went through trauma. Yes, you were abused as a child, but your attachment to it is what's stopping you from moving on. Like people say, let the past be in the past, like let it go. And that might be a process for you. I'm not saying like snap your fingers and let it go, although there are ways of doing that. Go, and I'm going to be careful how I say this. Psychedelics have helped me let go a lot. I'm not recommending psychedelics to any of you. Do your own research. Don't break laws, all of that shit. But psychedelics have been a very, very, very big thing that has helped me let go of my trauma from my childhood. Like, you guys all know my trauma. Like, I was depressed and suicidal for like 8 years. I went to prison when I was 19. Like, we all have trauma, my friend. And like, learning to gently detach from it is how we heal. And right now, you can kind of look at your trauma and your shame and all of that and realize that it's serving a purpose for you. And I would be very honest about that, man. I would get very clear about like what purpose is me being a child abuse victim serving right now. And your brain might be like, it's not serving a purpose. It's holding me back. You wrote it. You're like, it's holding me back. Yeah, but it's also protecting you. Like we only cling on to trauma or anger or fear or guilt or shame because we're getting something out of it. And that can be hard to admit because we're like, no, I'm the victim. And it's like, well, then you get to be the victim. That's incredibly, incredibly addictive to the ego. The ego loves to be a victim. Mine does too. We all love to complain about stuff, don't we? That's being the victim. And so we're getting something out of our shame or our trauma or any of that. And that's okay. You don't have to feel ashamed about being attached to shame. I've attached to shame a million times, my friend. I've attached to trauma. I've attached to everything you could imagine. We all have. We're all human. But part of how you work through this is letting go of that attachment. Or at least the first step is realizing that you are currently getting something out of your shame. It's probably saving you from rejection. Like if you say, I'm too ashamed and the shame is stopping me from doing anything and the therapy's not helping, then you don't have to go outside and talk to 100 women and tell them that they're pretty, which can be very scary. You don't have to, like, I don't know what your goals are. You don't have to start a business or something, which can be very terrifying because you're working through your shame first. I got to work through my trauma first, and then I can do those things. Like, it can be a form of procrastination. And part of how we let go of this is by saying, look, I have some shame. I was a trauma abuse. I was abused as a child, and I have trauma from that, and that's okay. I sometimes seek out masochism and BDSM, and that makes my relationships very confusing, and that's okay. Therapy doesn't really seem to be massively improving things, at least not in my mind and the way that I'm framing it, and that's okay. Why don't I go talk to that cute girl in the coffee shop anyway? Or why don't I try asking this person for money as I build my business? Why don't I try just talking to that person and making friends? In other words, again, like I said, you're not broken. You don't need to fix yourself before you start living your life. You've been procrastinating and you put in an extra step before you really started to live your life. You have told yourself, I have to overcome my shame and my trauma before I start living my life. That's not how this works, my friend. It's the opposite. You start living your life as you deal with the trauma, as you process the shame, as you let go of the past. While you do those things, you live your life. And so, whatever you feel like you're being held back from right now, you said, I can see this trauma holding me back from the person I want to be. Why don't you do one of the exercises that I have in my coaching program, which is you write out your idea of the perfect day? Like, would you be sitting on the beach for an hour in the morning? Then you would go to the gym. Then you'd hang out with your beautiful wife or whatever you have. Then you'd see your kids. Like list out your perfect day. They're just the most insanely perfect day that you could ever think of. And then each one of the things that you put in that perfect day, you start reverse engineering how you're going to do that. And if you want my help with that, like I said, we're setting up a $50 coaching program. Send me an email, dude. Like, we would help you with this. But reverse engineer each one of those things and work out how you're going to start taking some baby steps towards them. And do that while you feel like you're broken, while you feel like you're a mess, because you're not broken and you're not a mess and everything's okay and it's going to be okay. But I get that with shame and with fucking childhood trauma and abuse, yeah, you fucking feel like there's something wrong with you. You feel like you're broken. I mean, go watch Good Will Hunting. This will probably definitely make you cry. Watch the scene right at the end, where Will finally opens up a little bit to the therapist. And the therapist is like, it's not your fault. And he's like, I know, haha, I know. And he's like, it's not your fault, son. That scene just like breaks me every time because I have had that with my coaching clients. I have had that exact scene where I'm like, it's not your fault. And they're like, I know. And I'm like, it's not your fault. And they're like, I know that. Yeah, no, I know. And I'm like, just stop for a second. Can you please just sit with this with me for a little bit? Can you please just sit in it is not your fault? And try that, man. Like, go watch that movie. Watch the scene like 100 times if you need to. And sit in the feeling of like, it wasn't my fault. I was a fucking child, man. And you might be like, yeah, no, I know it wasn't my fault. Then why are you implying here that you're broken and that you need to be fixed or that you need to get over the shame and fix the trauma before you can start to be the person that you want to be? Why do you think that you need to be made whole before you can become the person that you want to be? Why can't you just be that person right now? Why can't you just see that you already are that person, a beautiful, wonderful human being trying to do his or her best? And then each day you just take one little baby step towards the goal. I would go and watch that scene. It might make you cry, and that's beautiful. That will be a release. But if you were my coaching client, or if I was doing therapy with you, which coaching is just basically therapy, I would get you to sit in that and be like, can we just address the fact that you think that you are broken, or you think that some things need to be fixed before you can start being the person that you want to be? Can we just accept the fact that right now you're procrastinating? Like you are. You've inserted an extra step. I have to go to therapy and fix all of this. And 6 years hasn't fixed it because for 6 years you've been not allowing yourself to be the person that you want to be. Yeah, I don't know that any amount of therapy would fix something that isn't broken. And a therapist would probably fucking tell you that if you asked. That is like one of the first things that they teach you in Psychology 101. Your patients are not broken. They might have some trauma, they might have some mental hurdles, they might have some challenges, they might have some thinking patterns that are not helpful to them. And your job as the therapist is to help them reframe that shit and show them that they're lovable and they always were and that there was nothing wrong. They might have had some difficulties, but that's okay. That's called being a human being. That is like the first fucking thing they teach you in therapy. And so you are okay, my friend. You're a beautiful person. I promise you're allowed to be the person that you want to be. You already are. You've just been pointing at your trauma and saying, that is broken, that is dark, that is bad, that is a disgusting part of me, and I need to fix that. No, embrace that. That is part of you. It is part of your story in the same way that I embraced the fact that I went to fucking prison. Do you know how many people would have so much shame about that? I hurt someone. Do you know how many people would have shame about that? Probably just most people. I was fucking depressed and suicidal. I had a porn addiction where I look at porn for 8 hours a day. I was an alcoholic. I was addicted to video games and anime and everything that you possibly could be. I cheated on my first girlfriend. I was abusive to her in many different ways. I could have so much shame about that. But that was my journey. That was my lessons that I needed to learn. And then maybe you would say, work on making the world a happier place to fucking reset my karma, or however you want to phrase that. And so I understand shame. Believe me, I went to fucking prison, my friend. You think I don't understand shame? But you are able to transcend that when you envelop that shame with love and you put a big hug around yourself and you say, yeah, I was traumatized as a kid. I was abused. But that little kid deserves some love. There is still that kid inside of you. And the one thing that that kid inside of you would want is for you to not fucking wait to be the person that you want to be. That little kid who was traumatized and abused and just hoped to God that it would get better one day. Let me get big. That little kid that hoped that one day there would be a light at the end of the tunnel. That little kid is relying on you now, my friend. Not to guilt trip you or something, but that little kid was literally just hoping that one day you would have the strength of character to just love him, because he probably didn't love himself in those moments. He probably didn't love himself at all when he was busy getting fucking abused in whatever form that took for you. Okay? And part of how you love that kid right now is to say, okay, I am okay right now. I get to decide when I'm okay. I get to decide when I'm lovable. I get to decide when I'm worthy, not some fucking therapist, man. And they're probably doing a beautiful job. They're probably a really good fucking therapist. But it's not up to them to tell you when you're fixed or healed or worthy or lovable or you deserve dignity or you can start your life. There is no line in the sand that they will just say, okay, you crossed that line. Now you can start living your life. You've probably been going to therapy for 6 years expecting that one day something will just click into place and you're like, oh, wow, I'm a fully fledged human now. I can be normal like the rest of everybody else. No, you draw that line in the sand. You are the one who says, now is when I start living my life. Now is when I am good enough. Now is when I am lovable. Now is when I am worthy. It's not just going to happen, man. You got to be able to do it. So love that kid inside of you. Love that kid who wasn't able to stand up for himself, or I don't know what, trauma you went through. But that little kid was innocent, and you are too. You as the adult version. But it is up to you to take the reins now and say, okay, now is when I'm going to start the rest of my life. Now is the new chapter. I'll keep going to therapy. I'll keep being vulnerable like you have been with all of us. I'll keep doing that shit. But I am the person that I want to be starting right now. And every day I'm just going to work on, working a little bit more towards my goals. So I promise you're doing a good job. Thank you for being this fucking vulnerable on the internet with a bunch of strangers when you probably didn't know how this was going to go. You probably knew I'd be nice to you, but thank you, my friend. Like, genuinely, that was really courageous of you. So thank you on behalf of me and everyone else. Thank you. All right. And now for the world's most awkward fucking segue. I almost feel really weird doing this after that very, very, very poignant speech that I really meant a lot. But for the next 4 days, I have a discount on my coaching program. We got a big sale. There's $2,000 off the price plus an extra 4 weeks. Only if you sign up in the next 4 days. The world's most awkward fucking sales pitch right there. But there's a link in the description below to that if any of you are interested. And If you're not, like if that's too much money for some of you, which obviously it is, so with the discount, it'll be 9,000 US dollars and you'll get 16 weeks or 20 weeks if you pay in full. So for a lot of you, you're just like, that's too much. Like I said, we're building the more affordable tier of coaching, which will be $50 for the first couple of months. You'll have much less access to me. I want to be very clear on that. I'm probably going to do a Q&A like maybe every 2 weeks where I'll go through and just answer everybody's questions and basically do like a fucking coaching video that I'll record and post it. But on top of that, we will have coaches in there. Like Taylor's going to do a weekly call with everyone. So like he would be the coach, and then you're going to have progress logs and all of that. And, you know, the coaches will jump in there. So it'll be a coaching program that I'm building. I will be in it, but you'll have much less access to me. So that'll be $50 a month. It's going to be eventually $200, but $50 to start with. So if any of you want that discount and you want to only pay $50, or even if you just want to check it out, you feel like, you know, I've helped you and you want to just throw $50 at me and get a bit of coaching, you can email me. It's probably the easiest way of getting in touch with me for this, because we're still, you know, building all the onboarding and all of that. So that's down there as well. And again, I really appreciate all of you for opening up. You're all brave as fuck. Thank you for hanging out with me on this day when I maybe wasn't feeling super great myself. You know, going through a lot of stuff, still healing the breakup. You know, it only happened like what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago at this point. Been busy, been stressed, been tired. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I appreciate you fucking giving me permission to suck, which really I just gave to myself. And thank you for being very vulnerable, all of you. I'm really fucking glad that you're all here.